Well, good morning. Welcome to American Reversion. I'm Steve Smith. If there was an ad stuck on the front of this for anything but me, like Sandy Promise or something like that, I didn't put it there. I don't care if you watch it, click through with it. That's not who is brought to you by. I'll show you our sponsor in just a second, but first off, welcome to everybody. Welcome to all of our subscribers, all of our members, all of our new subscribers on YouTube, and all of our new members over on Patreon. What's the difference? Well, over on Patreon, you're really a member because you have joined us over there for $1 a month or whatever you'd like to, and you really help drive what we're doing here. You are the people who support this channel, and we thank you for that. And for any of you who aren't yet members of ours over on Patreon, I put the link down below on how to join us over there. It'll take you to the Patreon. You can join with whatever amount you'd like. We don't have levels. You can join for $1. We have a lot of people who pledge more than that, and I thank you so much for that. I never asked for it, but I am grateful for it. Thank you very much. So please join us on Patreon. We put more stuff over there than we do on YouTube, so I think you'll like it once you get over there. But the other thing this is brought to you by is my book, The Reversion. This is the first on the Stonemont series, and I want to also welcome all the Stonemonters. Stonemonter is what we call the people who have read all the Stonemont books, or at least one, starting into the series. There are 5. I'm working on the 6th one right now. And this is about, as I've said before, this is about preparing for, or dealing with, and surviving the collapse of, and then rebuilding from the collapse of society. And how does that look right now, right? It says here, when the world collapsed, some were ready to start over. We have to be ready to start over. So it's brought to you by this, and my last book that just came out was The Blessings of Freedom. And then you got 3 books in between there, which are The Revival, The Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven. And collectively, they are the Stonemont series. So more and more I'm getting either in the comments, both here and on the other channel, or emails or messages saying, hey, I just bought your books. I love them. I'm learning so much from them, and my wife is reading them now, or my husband's reading them now, or my wife won't let me read it until she, it's great. It's all in good fun. But so many people are coming back and reading these books, and it's really becoming, the Stonemont community has always been kind of a special community, those who have read the books. You find people, you find a community in there, you find a world in there that you might like better than the one we live in now. Very possibly so. I've had so many people tell me that. And I tell you what, when I write during the day, I enjoy being in that world more than I do this world a lot myself. So you Stonemonters, it's good to have you, and those of you who have not yet dipped your toes into the world of Stonemont, I think you should. I think you'd like it, and I think you'd learn a lot from it, and it'll support the channel and a lot of other things. So there you go. Thank you all so much, and it's great to have you. Okay, now, is it time to fight? That's the question, isn't it? We get that question a lot. Now, our audience here on American Reversion is quite a bit different than our audience over on Integrative Preparedness. When I put political stuff over there, and I suggest that people get involved politically, I get a great number of comments that say, politics doesn't work. We're beyond that. If you think that politics works, or if you think that voting matters, or if you think blah, 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 yeah. You're an idiot. You're a fool. You haven't been paying attention. All of these things. Well, I hope I'm not an idiot. And I have been paying attention for longer than most of those people have been alive. And so really, it's one of the reasons that I created this channel, American Reversion, because I got tired. I said, well, a lot of my message is being wasted on a lot of those people. Good people in other ways, I'm sure, but that's why I put in American Reversion. This is where the more thoughtful conversations occur about politics and about how we can affect the political landscape and the world that we're living in. Can we save this country? I don't know, man. 30 years ago, I decided this country couldn't be saved. And I pretty much think that. I mean, if you look at a whole lot of things, Glubb's Fate of Empires and all sorts of other things, you can make a really good case that the country cannot be saved. But whether the country itself can be saved or not, I think that there are remnants and parts of what and who we are that can be and rebuilt into something that we would want, right? And I mean, because if you don't feel that way, why bother? I mean, why not just give up and curl up and go hide, in a cave somewhere? So anyway, that's kind of what caused me to start this channel. So I know a lot of you feel the same way out there. We don't trust our government. We don't trust the political system. We don't trust the elections. I mean, we've known ever since Kennedy was elected in 1960, when it was a cheated election. It wasn't until Sam Giancana delivered all the votes out of the Chicago cemeteries that they declared him the winner. A lot of people don't know that Richard Nixon knew at the time that there had been funny business, and he also knew that he could call for an investigation or a recount, but he decided not to because he didn't feel that it was within the best interest of the country. So we've known politics has been dirty and scroungy and muddy and dishonest and corrupt since forever, right? Has there ever been a political system that was corrupt? Probably not. So what do? Well, we can either fight or not fight. And too many people, like I said, there are those people, so many on the other channel, that that think that fighting is just when you go out there and go to the barricades, and they're not doing it. I mean, they're just saying that other people should, or whatever. They're saying they're not doing it because otherwise we'd hear about it in the news, right? So I just kind of tend to just kind of slough off that. We don't know whether they're agent provocateurs or if they're just people sitting in their basement on a dirty couch munching chips and, wanting to act tough while they're wearing their new tactical vest that was just delivered from Amazon. But what they imply is that we should not fight politically. Well, I disagree with that. I think most of you do too. And the reason that we should fight politically is simply because if we don't, we have no say in the argument. Okay? And if we do, occasionally we have some wins. Some of those wins are fairly large. And politics is never, sometimes it can be a long road down until you hit the bottom and then something arises from that. But it is hardly ever a consistent move upwards because it's full of people, right? And we have a lot of ignorant people, and they vote, and they are easily led and driven into voting for things that seem good to them on the surface, but are really meant to continue their enslavement, right? It's the old biblical, there is a way that seems right to a man, but in the end ends in death. And that's what the case is there. But we are seeing, regardless of all the idiocy that's going on in our world right now, we are seeing some interesting things happen as we approach these off-year elections in 22. I just saw some figures, or I just heard on the radio some figures that are very interesting. Now, the fools up on Washington, they're going through their little January 6th business, and the same people are getting up and spouting their pablum that is totally false but appeals to a segment of our society. Interestingly enough, a smaller and smaller segment of our society, and this is what I'm about to say. But they're involved in their political theater, and it makes them feel important. And a lot of them are doing it simply for their own re-election campaigns and jockeying for different power and committee assignments and things like that. And they're totally corrupt. There's not an honest bone in any of those bodies up there. But the figures that I heard today were the idiot-in-chief's approval numbers. Here's the interesting thing. His approval numbers, waving at the mailman, his approval numbers are down to 32% among whites. I mean, we have a lot of, liberal, guilty whites in the world. Down to 32% among whites. That's something. It's probably a little bit higher among white females because they always tend to lean left in greater numbers. 49% among blacks. That's amazing. That's amazingly low. And this is what has caused great fear among the Democrats. And it's one of the reasons that they have been pandering more to the Hispanic population, because they could see, and they've seen over the years, that their support from the black community has got less and less and less. It's been dwindling over the years. And they said, well, what are we going to do? Apparently, they're not believing our lies anymore, so we have to do something. So they've been relying on Hispanics, legal or otherwise, because we know that they want everybody to vote, because you know what the support for Biden is among Hispanics, the great savior of the Democrat Party? 24%. That's right. 24%. That is unbelievable, though probably shouldn't be surprising. And they're shocked. They don't know what to do because they've been making all these promises. They've opened up our borders, trying to bring all sorts of refugees in to prop up their Hispanic support. But see, there's something that they didn't realize, because they always see the worst about people. They assume the worst about people because they are the worst of people. They assumed by allowing our country to be invaded by illegal entries, it would bring the support of Hispanic voters. Here's what they don't realize. Hispanic people are people. See, they don't look at people as people. They look at groups. They look at marginalized groups, whether it's blacks, Hispanics, gays, trans, whatever it is. They're broken into. They don't look at them as people. This is the main difference between liberals and conservatives. Hispanics are so traditional at their core. They are a religious people. They are family-centered. They are hard-working, so hard-working. They have traditional values to their core. And so as they have seen what's going on in our country, and they've seen the pandering, dishonesty, and corruption of the Democrat Party, their support, which at first was fairly large, their support, because they see the truth. I just made one over on integrated preparedness about the truth. Does it butt hurt you or does it set you free? Well, the truth, just like it has among black Americans, the truth is setting Hispanic Americans free. They are seeing the truth, and their support is dwindling greatly, bigly, for the Democrats, and is expanding toward a more conservative, traditional direction. Now, what's important about that? Will that immediately go to the Republicans? Probably in a knee-jerk reaction, it will, and it probably will bring the red wave that most of us are expecting in this off-year election. But as one of our commenters on Patreon on integrative preparedness said, and I forget who it was. I meant to go back and see who it was. She said, and it was a woman. She said, Democrats are the problem, but Republicans aren't the answer. Right. They're not the solution. Traditionalists are the solution. So, is it time to fight? Here on this channel, we know what fighting is. Fighting is getting out there and talking to as many people, having the biggest effect we can have, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's talking to your friends and neighbors, whether it's talking to the person in the grocery store line, whether it's talking to the guy that picks up your trash. Every contact that you have is an opportunity for you to be in a small battle for the fight. And this is how we fight now, so that we don't have to fight a different way later. What's coming our way is an excellent opportunity. It is one of the best opportunities we've had in years to make a real change in this country. To take this country back to American traditionalism. But then we have to keep it. Because the first step of that is a whole lot of Republicans are going to be voted in. Okay? They're going to take back the House. They're going to take back the Senate. We could have a huge majority in the House, I think. But then, if we don't hold their feet to the fire, because Republicans aren't necessarily traditionalists, they're just Republicans. Okay? They're people who want to be voted in, just like Democrats want to be voted in. We have to exert our influence, our control over them, make sure they do what they're supposed to do, and keep them from, and punishing them if they don't. People will say, but they're just going to do the same thing. Politics doesn't work. It works for the other side. If you say that, you're admitting that they're smarter than you and work harder than you. Well, they're not. They're sneakier. Yeah. But they're not smarter. They might work harder, and you've just identified the problem. What's the solution? Work harder. Our battlefield is every day. It's everybody that we run into. Everybody that we have contact with. See if you can make your mark. See if you can have an effect on that world around you. Because this is the fight we're in. We are in a position to win bigger than we have for years. And if we can do that, and if we can hold our feet to the fire, we can take it through to that next presidential election. And then we'll see what happens then. But the fight we've got now is the fight we've got now. We see the figures are showing it well in our favor. Let's see what we can do with it, okay? That's what we need to do with it. All right. Remember, America needs a reversion. It needs a revival. It needs a renewal. It needs a resurrection. It needs to go back to its traditionalist roots. And it needs you and I and everybody that we can influence to be a part of it. And maybe we can get it done. Okay? You all have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.